All right, welcome back, everybody. Says we got 46 likes on the video as I sign on. How appropriate, because that's the big number we're going to talk about here. Number 46, Joe Biden. And again, for veterans, there's probably not going to be a whole lot that's new in this video. But again, this video is being made for all the people who are caught up in the politics of the stories coming out of Afghanistan and that city Kabul that was established in 1776, the same year as this nation. And again, if you're new here, we're going to talk about things maybe you never heard of before. Very simple things that are used every day to steer the world of political theater. When you learn what we're going to talk about tonight, you see that all of these people are literally like sock puppets, They're on strings. And from knowing this, it's why we were able to say all last year why Joe Biden was definitely going to become number 46. It was clear as day, with the election being exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And, 46 being a big number with the Catholics, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, only one Catholic president before Biden, and that was JFK, who got shot in the head, at least according to the Zapruder film, at age 46. But just 46, this super special number to Catholicism and, the code. The code of letters and numbers where Catholic equals 46, and that same code, Afghanistan, equals 46. And again, this is the big story. This is the first big story in the first year of Joe Biden that's new to his presidency, right? What's happened in Afghanistan. If there's another, it's how much fuel prices have gone up, energy prices, all the other market manipulation they're blaming on COVID, which isn't new to his administration. But the collapse in Afghanistan is. And to make a point about who controls the puppet strings of Joe Biden, number 46, and who's really behind what's happening in Afghanistan, let us not forget that the Jesuit order who served the Catholic Church and the Pope, their birthday is August 15th, the same day Afghanistan's government fell. And, with regards to the Jesuit order, remember this story from not long ago? Joe Biden announced that he made a partnership with Anheuser-Busch, and you could get a free Budweiser if you went out and got your COVID vaccine. What a bribe. But like we talked about, Anheuser-Busch in Gematria, if you're new here, the practice of coding numbers into words is Gematria, very important to the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. They've encoded our entire language and synced it up with the calendar, and they perform rituals with the same numbers over and over and over again. And in case you're new here, the way these ciphers work, Anheuser-Busch, like Jesuit order, equals 144 when you use the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. With regards to the 144, remember what day Joe Biden announced we were going to be out of Afghanistan. He said we'd have a complete withdrawal by September 11th, 2021, and he made that announcement on April 14th, 14/4, like 144. Same day in history, Abraham Lincoln was shot in a theater. And, Abraham Lincoln, he wrote the letter on June 8th, 1864, about how there never would have been a civil war if it wasn't for the sinister influence of the Jesuits. But Jesuit order, 144, like Anheuser-Busch, you think about that number in history. JFK had a meeting with the Pope July 2nd, 1963. You might notice Anheuser-Busch and Jesuit order are 72, like July 2nd. President Biden, as we'll get to, equals 144 and 72. But JFK had a meeting with the Pope July 2nd, 7/2/63. He reportedly died November 22nd, a span of 144 days later. Like how they say his brother was assassinated at 1:44 in the morning. And don't forget, June 12th, 2020, there was something called the Transition Integrity Project. Tip, June 12th, 2020, at Jesuit Georgetown in Washington, D.C. Remember, the Jesuits have been in D.C. longer than the federal government's been there. That's why it used to be called Rome on the Potomac. It's why the Roman symbolism's everywhere, and the Roman fasces are on the wall of the House of Representatives. But June 12th was the date of the simulation. And from June 12th to November 3rd, the date of the election, was exactly 144 days later. And the simulation that they did, it was Donald Trump, who's Jesuit educated. Donald Trump went to Fordham. He's a Jesuit pawn as well. Donald Trump, who went to Fordham in New York, same school Cuomo went to. In the simulation, Joe Biden narrowly beats Donald Trump. Donald Trump refuses to step down, saying he was cheated, and it leads to deadly violence in the streets of America. And of course, was part of the, orchestrated theatrics that took place on January 6th, where again, we had everything right about that date before it happened and how it would have a lot of Confederate symbolism on 6/1, like the American Civil War in 1861. Also the work of the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the divide and conquer gang, the infiltration and divide and conquer gang. These are their tactics throughout history. And again, it's that phrase, united we stand, divided we fall. The Jesuits know that real well. That's why they keep us always divided over the stuff they cook up for us, that they present to us through their media, which they control, papers, magazines, radio, TV. And again, it looks just like what we're living out right now in so many different ways, Joe Biden included. But again, these ciphers, the alphabetic order, Anheuser-Busch, Jesuit order, they're both 144. Big number. And with what I just said about 144, I hardly even, said anything. There's so many huge rituals with that number, including Donald Trump at the Vatican with the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, May 24th, 2017, the 144th day of the year, 10 Downing Street, where the Prime Minister resides in the UK, a Jesuit stronghold. The Jesuit order logos above their door, and 10 Downing Street was established in 1684, 144 years after the Jesuits were recognized by Rome in 1540. Again, this 144 number is huge with Jesuit ritual. It's all over the place. And again, Jesuit Joe Biden from Scranton, Pennsylvania, where he was born, strong Jesuit town, Jesuit prep school there. We'll talk about how the Secretary of Defense is from a great Jesuit school or Jesuit town in the South, Mobile, Alabama. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But you see how Anheuser-Busch and Jesuit order are both 54? That's considered the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. So A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, D still 4. Where it changes is J. J is the 10th letter. The numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. So J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 2 because 11 is 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, becomes 3 because 1 plus 2 is 3. So on. Z, the 26th letter, becomes 8 because 2 plus 6 is 8. The digits of 26. So Anheuser-Busch and Jesuit order are both 54. John Carroll equals 54 in that cipher. He established the first Jesuit university in this nation, Georgetown, while he was 54 years old. They don't have overlap in the reverse alphabetic order, Anheuser-Busch and Jesuit order, but they do in the reverse alphabetic order with the rules numerology, 72. And remember, Joe Biden, he became senator-elect in 72. Right after that election, his wife and daughter died in a tragic car crash. And then when he was 72 years old, his son, Beau Biden, died at age 46. And then, 6 years later, he'd become number 46. So all of these numbers get used redundantly and ritualistically over and over again. And it's through these rituals that they perform and the way they've encoded the things that they control that you can see how they're operating in plain sight. And they get away with this because most people have not connected the fact that A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, just like what was probably on the border of your kindergarten and first grade classroom. And again, it's obvious this is the case because this is nothing new to the world. This practice goes back to Babylon. Kabbalists, they have a text called the Sefer Yetzirah. In the opening page says, God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. So it's believed by Kabbalists that this is the code of God. And again, in 1776, this nation was established. Kabul, Afghanistan was established, and the Order of Illuminati, created by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, was established. All in 1776. 13 stripes, 13 colonies, 13 families for the Illuminati. How many people did they just say died in terms of U.S. soldiers at the Kabul explosion on August 26th? They said 13, right? And those soldiers will come home in caskets with flags that have 13 stripes on them. Again, 13 relates to time because it's the sun and the 12 constellations of the zodiac. 13. The Jesuits are the Society of Jesus. The sun and his 12 disciples. And also the moon in its 13-month cycle. And again, the sun and the moon, gold and silver, what's on the Vatican's flag, objects of time. We're speaking a language, English, that's credited to a Catholic monk. We're on a calendar that is the Catholic Church's calendar. And it's very obvious that all of these things were synced together at the end of the 16th century when the Jesuits came into power with the Roman Catholic Church. Decades after that, the calendar rolls out. English is standardized with the spellings we use today. And from that point in history forward, you can trace through history and see that major world-shaping events have been orchestrated by this code. So, if you've missed all the work I've been doing on Afghanistan and Joe Biden, definitely check it out. But, we've been explaining why Biden was going to become number 46, and we've just been documenting all the Jesuit puppet rituals since, from free Anheuser-Busch's for COVID shots and beyond. Just to go back and remind you about how clear it is that it's the Jesuits, let me go back and pull up this post on the death of his wife and daughter, and then we'll also look at the death of Beau Biden. We can also talk about the death of his father and mother, clearly tributes to him being a senator. Let's see. Okay, this is the one I want to show you. I have several posts on this. But okay, the Pope at the time, his wife and daughter died December 18th, 1972. He became senator-elect November 7th, 1972. And again, 72, Jesuit Order 72. When he was 72, his son died at 46. But from the Pope's birthday that year to the death of his wife and daughter was 83 days. And again, that number is related with murder. Look up the movie poster for Murder by Numbers, where the E's changed to a 3, the B's changed to an 8. 3883, the Gematria of murder is 38 and 83. And there's a song everybody should listen to. It's kind of like the Jackson 5 song, but more twisted. It's about how killing is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. And it's by The Police, the British band, Sting, the lead singer, who lost his parents at a very young age. And if you look up some live performances of Sting doing this song, he likes to boast about how he has a lot of weird things. Just go watch some live performances of this song where Sting talks about the lyrics. It's like he's so proud of them. This song about killing being the sport of the elected. And it's a really creepy song when you know what's going on. And remember, Charlie Watts, drummer for the Stones, just died 83 days after his birthday. So many drummers die by the 3883 code because drummer even equals 38. That's why a lot of times with famous bands, the first member to die is the drummer. And, of course, the name Watts equals 83. You had the Watts murder saga here in the U.S. and Colorado, which equals 38 and 83, which is also the 38th state in order of statehood. But Sandra Bullock, the star of this movie, her name in Gematria, 83. Killing, death, R.I.P., Gematria, English, Kabbalah, they all have the Gematria 38. And anyhow, it was 83 days after the Pope's birthday. As we'll get to, Beau Biden's death was clearly synced with the Pope. Had a lot to do with Inauguration Day for number 46. We'll get to that. But 83 days after the Pope's birthday, you could also say that was his 84th day of his age, the Pope. Jesuits 84. United States of America's 84. Big number here in this nation. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, happens to be 84 during the time of Joe Biden taking office. And he has 84 birth numerology. But the Superior General, the leader of the Jesuits at the time, from his birthday, November 14th, to December 18th, the day of the wreck, 34 days. Murder 34, right? in the most pure cipher, murder's 34. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, it's 83. So Joe Biden's wife and daughter, this man that has this big, long career in D.C. as a senator, then becomes vice president, then back to senator, then to the presidency. And again, just the biggest joke of all. There were, 20 candidates for the Democratic Party, and for the first month, Joe Biden was the laughing stock of every debate, in last place. He had the big moment with Kamala over busing, then they ended up being the black and white duo. If you missed our coverage earlier this year of the photo with her on the Masonic checkerboard floor, you should go back and check that out. Again, it's all secret societies in D.C., the Jesuits and the Masons, who are definitely interconnected. But the name Biden's also 34 in the most simple cipher. So from the Superior General's birthday to the death of his wife and daughter, 34 days later, you could also say, well, hold on. The Superior General at the time, Arupe, his surname, look at how his overlap with murder was 79, 34, 83, 38. And again, there's another series you can look up out there, the ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. The ABC Murders. Look this one up. Amazon made this into a TV show, but the ABC Murders has that 79 in it. Yesterday, the Molly Tibbetts killer got life for murder on a 79 date numerology. O.J. Simpson with the 7-9 birthday. There's a lot more that can be said about the Gematria, the ABC Murders, but I just want you to see that the 79 is in that title, and going back to the Murder by Numbers movie poster, you see how the orange numbers around the words are 7 and 9? Again, just right there, if you just, highlight the murder by numbers and the numbers right next to it, you got the 388379. 3 of the 4 base ciphers right there. These rituals used again and again in the stories that we get in the mainstream. And, with regards to Society of Jesus equaling 79, so does Knights Templar. Their cross is in the Jesuit logo. And yesterday, our withdrawal from Afghanistan was on a date with 79 numerology as well. War is legalized murder, is it not? Again, Society of Jesus is Jesuit order. They're the same thing. They're 2 names for the same thing. This happened in 72, right? You could also say that from the Superior General's birthday to the crash was his 35th day of his age. It's either 34 days after his birthday or his 35th day of his age. And in terms of 35, car crash in the most pure cipher is 35. And in fact, notice how car crash and Catholic overlap. And again, there's so many suspicious deaths in the world of celebrity where it's like, did they really die in a car crash? All you need is one corrupt police officer to write up a report and one corrupt coroner, and that can be the new cause of death. You might have been drowned in a bathtub, stabbed to death, shot to death, but all you need is, a couple reports from some authority. This whole concept of authority comes from the church. But notice, car crash, Catholic, the exact same in all 4 ciphers. And in the most pure one, 35. So, and again, just those numbers. JFK, the first Catholic president, number 35, killed at age 46. Biden elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, sworn in on Inauguration Day on the 35th day of the Pope's age, the first Jesuit Pope for Jesuit Joe. But, that seems to be, again, for the person who thinks that's all coincidental, I don't know what to do with you. But if you just need a little bit more evidence of what's going on, okay. How about this one? The wife and daughter of Joe Biden died on Limestone Road. That's where the car crash happened. That equals 201, right? 201. Hold that number in your mind. So, where's my post about Beau Biden's death 201 days from the Pope's birthday? Hold on. It's because I got wife, daughter in there. Okay, so they died on 201 Road, and now Beau Biden, we'll come back to some of this other stuff because it's interesting as well. But his death was May 30th, Joe Biden's son, who's really Joseph Biden Jr., They called him Beau instead of doing the junior thing. But he died May 30th, 2015, and from that day to the Pope's birthday was 201 days. That was in 2015. So the Pope, he would have turned 79 years old at the end of that year, meaning he was 78 at the time of Beau Biden's death. 78, right? Joe Biden took office at age 78. And again, that's a number that fits right in with the Jesuit code so perfectly. Beau Biden died while the Pope was 78. Joe Biden takes office at age 78. And remember what they did this year on the 78-year anniversary of the death of Nikola Tesla. Elon Musk, who runs the Tesla car company, on the 78-year anniversary of on 78-year anniversary of Nikola Tesla's death, they reported that Elon Musk was the richest man in the world, the 78-year anniversary. Look at Tesla. We're Jesuit 78, Tesla is 78. You see? 78. And again, big corporation, big tech, it's big Jesuit. It's big fascism. But 201 days from the Pope's birthday. And I must have it here unless I just linked it in another post. Looks like I did. But again, Pope Francis, he's the first pope to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican in an apartment known as the Domus Sanctae Martyr. Notice his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, is 201. Notice Ignatius of Loyola is 201. Notice Catholic Pope is 201. Notice the Jesuit Order is 201. If you look up the Jesuit history, they were saved by Catherine the Great after they were banned by the Pope, who preserved the order with 201 Jesuits. Inauguration Day is 20/1. The same man who did the funeral... Let's see if I can pull him up here. The same man who did the funeral for Beau Biden is a Jesuit priest. He also did the inauguration for Joe Biden. He did the funeral and the inauguration. He's the former president of Jesuit Georgetown. His name is Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan. Jesuit priest, former president of Georgetown, did the funeral for Beau, the inauguration for Joe. And remember, the official title of the January 20th inauguration on the U.S. government website is Inauguration of the President of the United States, which equals 201. Like Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan equals 201. And the Jesuit Order is 201. Remember also Joe Biden. He is from Scranton, Pennsylvania. A lot of people know that town from the NBC show The Office, which ran 201 episodes. And in every single episode at the start, they have the Jesuit school prep flag from Scranton, same town Joe Biden was born in. And the shaggy-haired guy that the girls like from that show, not all girls, but some girls like that guy. I was like in my early 20s when that show was in its prime, and I just remember some of the, girls I knew at that time thought he was real cute. But now that guy, whatever his name is, he directs like the Quiet Place movies, whatever that guy's name is, John something, I think. They chose him for the Amazon TV series. Remember, Amazon's totally Jesuit. Jeff Bezos, we've covered it all. All these people are Jesuit pawns. Mark Zuckerberg, all of them. Sundar Pichai, Bill Gates, William Henry Gates equals 201. One of the main sponsors of Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation 1 month before it happened. But they chose him from The Office that ran 201 episodes to play the Jesuit-educated Jack Ryan character from the Tom Clancy novels. Jack Ryan, the Jesuit CIA officer, went to Boston College in the series. But they chose him to play the CIA guy in that series, which is about Middle Eastern terrorism, right? And again, not only does Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, the words in the logo equal 201, but from the Pope's birthday, the Pope at the time, Pius XII, from his birthday to the day the CIA was established, September 18th, 47, that was his 201st day of his age, right? Again, you guys, it's because the Jesuits control every inch of this nation, and they've been performing rituals with very specific numbers. They have a set of numbers that they really like. Numbers like 144, 201, 54, 56, 78, 84. They bring all these numbers together in so many rituals, and they do it so perfectly. And yeah, there's a lot more that can be said about it. But again, if you just follow the patterns of what they're doing, again, this is Kabbalah. This is the Cabal. All the focus in Kabul. You know what I mean? Kabul established the same year as the Cabal, the same year as this nation. And again, what Afghanistan's good for is growing poppies, which are used for opium and heroin and, opioid drugs, things that have been used to control people going all the way back to the Romans. Remember, in Gematria, heroin equals 93. Afghanistan's the plus 93 international dialing code. On the 487th birthday of the Jesuits, what is the 93rd prime? It's the day their government fell, supposedly taken over by the Taliban, which is who we overthrew in 2001, and we brought back the poppy production. And again, since then we have a heroin epidemic, not only in this country, but throughout much of the world. But again, it wasn't Joe Biden who pulled the strings for 9/11 or the invasion, and it's not Joe Biden who's pulling any strings right now. It should be completely transparent to everyone with a brain that the Oval Office is nothing but political theater. These aren't people who make any decisions. These are people who go out each day and play a part and part of a story and a narrative that keeps, one half of the country looking at it this way, another half this way, fighting over the same stuff. These are actors chosen to play the script that we're living out. But understand, the script has real consequences. These things that have been done to us from 9/11, that cost us a lot of rights and liberties and, all sorts of psychological trauma for all sorts of people because of all the fear. I mean, the whole nation thinking that, they could be on the end of a deadly explosion, a suicide bomber in their town, all the kind of fear that they pumped into us in that time and in the years after. Again, part of the game of this country that we have to recognize is like, it's not great that we get a new person every 4 years or they can only be there for so long for 8 years. I mean, that's bullshit too. What if you have a really great fucking leader? What, you want to get him out of there because that's the rule? Again, that's just all part of the game, you guys, and that's why they keep doing the same shit to us. A D for 4, an R for 4, a guy for 8, another guy for 8, just back and forth, and people just pointing the finger, oh, when they get in there, this always happens. When they get in there, this always happens. Again, this is because this is all just a game, you guys. This is a game, and people get played by the game, and it's so pathetic. I mean, come on. If you're my age, you got to pull your head out of your ass. If you're older than me, I don't know what the excuse is for you, but I was 17 in 2000. That was the election of Gore, the vice president to the last president, Bill Clinton, who was in office for 8 years. It was Gore versus Bush, who was the son of the last Republican president who was president before Clinton. So you were getting these two top candidates who were clear extensions of what came before, right? And at the time, the way people looked at it was Al Gore was so boring, so robotic, so impossibly dry. And then you had this other guy who, could hardly formulate a sentence, seemed a little bit retarded. Plus, he was the son of the last Republican president, Mr. New World Order. And, don't ever forget that his dad gave the speech about a new world order, how it will be realized, and he gave it on September 11th, 1990. 11 years to the day. Always the same numbers. Afghanistan fell after 11 days, they said, and then 11 days after it fell, then you had the airport bombing. Papa Bush. They called him Poppy Bush. They said he was big on the heroin trade, Say Clinton was more of a coke guy. He helped to bring in the disco era. But, yeah, I mean, you guys, this is a criminal enterprise that still somehow America can't see through. The fact that these two parties don't give a shit about us. They go up there and talk the same ball game over and over and over. Nothing changes. everything remains the same. And you know, the last Republican president, Trump, you know, an actor, right? An actor like Ronald Reagan, who even ran on the same campaign as Reagan, you know, he was a career Democrat. He was a Democrat his whole life. And then Obama became president, and then that's when he switched. You know, he was part of the whole birther thing. And, yeah, it's just, I don't know how people can't figure it out. They put out Tupac's song Changes in 98, right? About how we still ain't seen a black president. What do we got 10 years later? Hope and Change. Barry O, right? You know, you learn Gematria. Hope equals 44 forward, 64 in reverse. Civil Rights Act 64. Barack Hussein Obama 64, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64, where the biggest civil rights leader was assassinated on 4/4. That's MLK. Malcolm X got killed on a date with 44 numerology. Again, his assassin got 44 years in prison. Again, you guys, all this stuff that we've been living out, it's all part of the Jesuit script by the numbers. And, you know, there's a reason that Barack Obama equals 68, the same year MLK got assassinated on 4/4 in 68. And speaking of 68, I want to make a point about the current Secretary of Defense, Lloyd James Austin. Would you believe that his name equals 56, just like Society of Jesus, like the name of the president in Afghanistan? You know, 56 in that most pure, just like Society of Jesus, like Washington, D.C., Jesuit stronghold, like Paris, France, where the Jesuits are from, like Anthony Fauci, the Jesuit puppet who we're seeing the most of, like coronavirus. And of course, the coronavirus pandemic began in 2020, 56 years after Trump began his Jesuit education at Fordham. You know, now Trump's out telling people to get the vaccine because he got it. Did you hear Trump's line? Go out and get the vaccine. Melania and I got it. If it doesn't work, I'll be the first to tell you about it. He got booed, though. He thought his line was going to work. It's like, what kind of fucking line is that, chump? If it doesn't work, I'll be the first to tell you about it. I think people will know because they'll have Bell's palsy or worse. But that's all Trump ever was. Trump the chump, the Jesuit talking puppet. You know. So, here, coming back to this Lloyd Austin guy. Lloyd Austin, born in 53, right? So think about this. He turned 68 this year, right? 68. What happened 7 days after his birthday? The government falls, right? And then you start hearing about ISIS-K, right? Right after the Secretary of Defense turns 68. If you guys are new here, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, ISIS-K is 68. But more importantly, the thing I always talk about is CIA is 68, right? Forward, CIA is 13. This is the mind control agency of the federal government. These are the mind control experts right here. But again, you got your 13 soldiers blamed on ISIS-K. And they put out the name of the first soldier. When the first one died, his name was Riley. It was spelled a weird way, though. Was it like this? Shoot. Let's see. I know I wrote it down. Man, maybe I just did the decode in real time on my channel and never did a post about it. I know I did a short video on this, though, just right when they were broadcasting. The name of the soldier. Yeah, I must not have done a post. I know it was Riley something, but they spelled it a funny way. 13 soldiers, Riley. Here, let's see. I just want you to see that the name, the spelling that they gave him equaled 68. Riley McCollum, there it is. R-Y-L-E-E. That's how they spelled it. But the first soldier, Riley McCollum, 68, right? And there's a lot more that can be said about his name. The 157 stands out because this is propaganda for the nation. United States is 157. The 58 stands out because that's the secret society numbers. Secret society's 58. Freemasonry's 58. A whole lot more that goes onto that list that's all related. You think of the headquarters for Freemasonry in D.C. It has the 13 layers of bricks and the unfinished pyramid on the top like the 13 soldiers. But really, just in the base ciphers, the one I really want you to see is 68 because, again, they use this number so redundantly. 1968, the year coronavirus was coined. Same year World Trade Center construction began. 911 made the national emergency dialing code. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, whose dad was the director of the CIA. And again, from Bush's birthday, July 6th, every year to September 11th is a span of 68 days. And again, he said the word terror more than any other president. I guarantee you that much, because it was his favorite word. Terror, 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 terror is pretty much all he talked about. You know, nonstop fear. And yeah, so what are the odds that the Secretary of Defense just happened to turn 68 right before all this went down? And again, what I'm telling you is this stuff's not a coincidence. This is how they got their puppets so perfectly in place. That's why every time one of these events happens, and they're not always on this big a scale, but every day the federal government's got their propaganda, their mind control, and when you look at it, you see it's like, wow, look, it's the same redundant pattern again. It's the same numerical pattern. With regards to 68, it probably has a lot to do with the word Catholicism, 68, because the Club of Rome was established in the year 68. Big year, the year RFK was assassinated by the numbers, MLK. Again, HIV and coronavirus were both discovered in 68, and Anthony Fauci was the face of both of those agendas, the Catholic Jesuit. And again, Kerry Mullis, if you missed the interview I uploaded of him in the mid-90s talking about the scam that was HIV/AIDS and how it was a money-making scam with Fauci being the face of it, lying all the way. You go back and listen to that interview and look at what's now going on with COVID, and you start to see some glaring parallels. And you can understand why Kerry Mullis died just right before all this went underway. The man who could really spill the beans, the man who invented the PCR test, who he called out Anthony Fauci specifically, saying that he was taking his PCR test and misusing it and, you know, essentially cheating with the test to diagnose whatever he wanted as whatever he wanted. You know, forcing the results. But this Lloyd Austin, what else screams out? There's a lot of things that scream out. Austin was the 33rd Vice Chief of Staff of the Army. What screams out, though, is where this man is from. This man is from Mobile, Alabama. And you know what it is about Mobile? That's where one of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities is. And you know how we just showed that his name equaled 56, that big Jesuit number? Mobile is 56. And if you do Mobile, Alabama, it's 84. Just like how in that same cipher, the Jesuit order is 84. You know, Jesuit alone is 84. The Catholic Church is 84. United States of America, a completely Jesuit nation, from cover to cover is 84. You know, you can start to really understand why there were 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence when you follow history knowing the code, you know. So Mobile, it's got Spring Hill College. It's one of the nation's 27 Jesuit U's. There were some bizarre hip-hop related Jesuit murders in Mobile earlier this year we covered. And, yeah, again, you know, Joe Biden is a walking, talking puppet. A career actor. That's what politicians are. And people who keep continuing to say, well, I still like this party more. I mean, you guys are just going to be a part of the problem until you're all gone from the earth. You know, that one guy and his brother, every time he calls in, he tries to make an excuse why he likes Trump more. It's like, no. Why are you in it? Why are you emotionally investing in this at all? You're aware of what's going on and you're still choosing to emotionally invest in it and pick sides? I mean, I don't know why you feel the need to call into my show every week, you know? Essentially, you're representing what's wrong with the world. You guys, we have the knowledge. We have the information. We know what's going on. Why are we still investing in the lies? Why are we still taking part in their systems? The only thing to do is expose this and just call it out for what it is. You know, a fraud. A fraud that's meant to take you for a ride. You know, make you a part of the fraud system. All the world needs is opposition to what these people do every day. Opposition to everything they do, you know? Their elections. There's no way you should be participating in their elections. I remember being at the big rally in Washington in April. There was this older woman, probably in her 70s, who just gaffed when I told her that the thing to do was to not vote. You know, she just gaffed it. Oh my God, I mean, talk about a horrible idea. It's just like, I mean, it sounds awful, but I wish I could have just shot her in the head, honestly. You know, we don't need you. We don't need you and your generation that drug us all to hell. What do you mean a horrible... Do you know how dumb you are to vote for one of these frauds? To validate their bullshit? Do you think Joe Biden even won the Democratic nomination? Not even close. Senile Joe was the laughing stock. If the election was real, there's no way he would have ever been the nominee. In 2016, you think Hillary beat Bernie Sanders? What a fucking joke. Bernie Sanders had 12-year-olds lined up for miles at 7 in the morning. From age 12 to age 90. All across the nation. In conservative areas. Hillary Clinton, you couldn't even see a Hillary Clinton bumper sticker anywhere. And then what's old Bernie do? From Jesuit Chicago. You know? And don't forget, the Jesuits are Jewish and Catholic. I'm not sure. I know Bernie's Jewish. I don't know if he has a Catholic parent. Bill Maher, perfect example. Jesuit scum. But he's Jewish and Catholic. Just like the Supreme Court, just like this nation's history, just like what Martin Luther warned about, not Martin Luther King, but the leader of the Protestant Reformation, wrote 2 books warning about 2 groups. And again, that doesn't mean all Catholics and Jews, but again, he spelled out what was wrong with those religions, the dangerous ideas within those religions, and why, you know, they weren't good for the people of the world. But, yeah, it's just, it's amazing how people fall for this and keep thinking it's legitimate, and then they'll go out and vote in the next election. I mean, how can you not get yet that it's not legitimate? In 2000, Bush lost the election. They said Gore won for 30 minutes. Gore was the next president of the United States. And then the news was like, well, wait a minute, maybe we called it too soon. We gotta wait because of Florida. And it's like, wait a minute, man. For the last month, the media has been saying all that's going to matter in the election's Florida. Now maybe something's going on in Florida. Maybe it's actually Bush in Florida and not Gore. And then what's going on in Florida? Florida's where Bush's brother's the governor. He's the 43rd governor. Bush becomes the 43rd president. Their dad was the 43rd vice president. Yale equals 43, where Skull and Bones is, where the father and son that were president went to school. Both members of the same secret society. But, I mean, why did anyone vote after 2000? See, I never voted because I couldn't even vote in 2000, and that was all I needed to see. Well, and then in 2004, they made it crystal clear. I was watching Meet the Press before the election. Tim Russert in back-to-back weeks had Bush and Carry On and asked them both what were the odds of being in the same small secret society at Yale, Skull and Bones. And they both laughed about it, said they can't talk about it. And I was just like, see, I know this nation's bullshit, man. 9/11, such an obvious lie. They're laughing in our face about that. The 2000 election was obviously, you know, King George II. And now they're laughing on NBC on Sunday morning about both being in the same secret society and being the top 2 candidates. It's like, what the fuck's wrong with the people in this country? Like, I'm a young person. People still don't even take me seriously. I mean, in 2004, when that was going on, I hadn't even turned 21 yet. I couldn't even drink, you know? 2004 in the summer, that's when, well, it's probably around the time that I was finally able to legally drink, but could always shoulder tap somebody. There's a good memory. The first time I ever shoulder tapped somebody, I was probably about 15. This guy hooked it up. Not only did he get us the case of beer, he even gave me my money back and said, keep it. I was like, wow, what a champ, man. Anyway, those were better days. We'd probably be too scared to do that this day and age with surveillance everywhere and phones and social media. See, that's why we messed up the world, man. We turned it into a surveillance state. That's what they really got us to do. That's why they got us all carrying cameras everywhere. Everybody's putting cameras on their car, on their house, you know, on everything, man. One world under surveillance. Nobody pays attention to what's really going on while they all keep caught up in the latest political actor. Oh my God, I hate this guy. Yeah, it's just, Part of me wonders if Joe Biden is even really senile and as dumb as he comes across and out of it. I mean, it could be an act. It could be all part of the mockery. You know, could be something like the Manchurian Candidate films. They turn on and off the level of senileness they want for the presentation. But yeah, the fact that people think Joe Biden's making any decisions, I mean, come on, man. The fact that people think Donald Trump made any decisions. Do you think Donald Trump even made any decisions on The Apprentice? I mean, he's an actor on that show too. And you know, in hindsight, that's what that show was all about, to introduce Donald as the authority figure, right? Had to get a decade of that on NBC for running him for president. So, yeah, this Lloyd Austin. One other point I'll make. You know, right after, it was 18 days after his 68th birthday or his 19th day of his age that the airport thing happened in Kabul. IHS, you know, the Jesuit acronym is 18 forwards and backwards. Like sun is 18, like all of these are rituals in time. This comes in the time of the summer. But with regards to it being his 19th day of his age that the airport happened, remember, 19 hijackers on 9/11. In Gematria, chaos equals 19. It's why for many years I said 2020 would be the next 9/11, 19 years after 2001, and it ended up being COVID, you know? And that's what my book's about. 9/11 to coronavirus, how it's very clear that these two events are perfectly synced. The pandemic came exactly 222 months after 9/11. Wuhan coronavirus equals 222. Order out of chaos, 222. There's a whole lot more to it. But that's the motto. Order out of chaos. Chaos has the gematria of 19 as well. On the 19th day of this guy being 68, this happens. Remember, the Quran Code was discovered in 68, and if you're not familiar with the Quran Code, look it up. It was also part of 1968. The Quran Code's about how the Quran is centered on the number 19. And, you know, Medina Spirit this year, we had Medina to win the Kentucky Derby. 19 days after Ramadan. Big old 201 ritual on that. Only jockey coming into that day of the race with 201 races under the belt. It's called for the Run for the Roses, which is 201. It's because the Jesuits control everything from Churchill Downs to the Catholic Church. Doesn't it start to make a lot more sense? It's where they race at Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs, the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, 201. So, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share for now. So hopefully we can wake up at least one more person out there. It's hard at this day and age. I feel like it's just an echo chamber, this channel now, because, you know, people don't get notifications. I think almost no one outside of who's already aware of this channel would ever get a notification. It's really frustrating, man. It's really frustrating, you know. All I can say is at least I got out the word when you still could, but again, it didn't seem to have the impact that it should have. And might just be because it's a society of, you know, again, it's that analogy, right? When you're a little kid, you can't get on some rides at the fair. You're not tall enough. It says you have to be this tall to ride the ride. And you're thinking, man, next summer I'm going to be that tall. Next summer I'm going to do this. But, yeah, I think, sadly, to see through what's going on in this world, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence, but it takes a certain amount. And because of whatever they've done to us with all the chemical poisoning and God knows what else, it seems like very few people can gravitate to the level for what it takes to see through the obvious circus that it is. Yeah, it's I mean, and I just hate that there's so many people that in this truth community that just will not touch on any of this, but still kind of get caught up in the politics. It's like, I don't think that everybody's a shill. I really do think that there's just too many people that just aren't smart enough to see the obvious. Because it is all really obvious. I didn't have to know anything about Gematria to see through the bullshit that is this nation, you know. When I was 17 years old, I didn't learn about Gematria until I was 30. So when I was 17, I already knew that something was way off, that this was all a mockery. I figured that out when I was in school when I was younger. School was a mockery. It was just such a waste of time. But I wish somebody would have taught me about this in school. Speaking of 72, School 72, Jesuit Order 72. I don't think that's an accident. I think that's the foundation. Well, outside of the religion, it's the foundation for the mind control. Oh, by the way, I should show you a couple more things about this Beau Biden death. You want to see how Jesuit it was? We talked about 201 days from the Pope's birthday. Guess how many days it was after Beau Biden's birthday, or Joe Biden's birthday? It was 191 days. Society of Jesus 191, right? 191 days after his 72nd birthday at the time. Remember when the Superior General of the Jesuits just died last year by the numbers? It was 191 days after the current Superior General's birthday. Diego Lainez, the second Superior General of the Jesuits, took office on January 19th. The date can be written 19/1. So. Oh, yeah, and then from Beau Biden's death to the election was 1,984 days, like 1984, George Orwell, 1984, Jesuit 84. They said this was the first, presidential ticket since 84 without someone who went to an Ivy League school. It's Orwell was a member of the Fabian Society established in 1884. So, yeah, Joe Biden's a sick guy. Wife and daughter, off by the code. Beau Biden, off by the code. This guy's just, he does what he has to stay in there with the Jesuit script. He likes to be the man. He likes to be the political actor. He likes the perks that come with it. It's enough to sacrifice a wife and daughter, a son. It's, but that's not the kind of guy that calls the shots. Guy that sacrifices his family to stay in the game. That's not the kind of guy that calls the shots. It's the kind of guy that just wants to stay, doing his part in the game, the sick game that is. We need more people that realize what the game is and stop playing it. Stop voting. Stop supporting all this shit. Stop emotionally investing in it. We need everybody to say, you know what? No more taxes to this evil empire. In fact, fuck my slave job too. I'm getting free. We need new priorities. We need to realize that, the world's full of shit. There's an abundance of shit. We don't need more shit in this world. There's enough material goods already here. There's enough jewels already here. We don't need to tear up the world anymore for more resources. There's enough stuff here to coexist. We don't need any more work and output. We just need to maintain the things that matter. We need a good, clean food supply. That they're talking about, like, why do we need to keep running all the factories that pollute? We don't. We have all the shit here we already need. All we need now is to just figure out how to better use the stuff that's already here, have local food. Again, this is where we are. The reason they keep us on the treadmill we're on, the working, the slaving, the taxing, is because that benefits them. They stay at the top. They stay super rich, controlling us that way. Our ancestors were agricultural people that lived off the earth. They never had a tax collector come by. They never had, a politician dictating to them what they could do with their life. These are all things that came about with, empires and churches, things that wanted to control people. So, until that happens, it's just going to be more of the same. But yeah, the only way to change the game is to get people to wake up and see it. So we'll keep putting out the videos. They're probably only going to reach people if you share them with your audience, and because maybe somebody will finally click on something you post. I know a lot of you stop posting on things because you never get any comments and never any likes, and then you see somebody else post like a funny video and it has 300 likes, and then you feel all lonely. But again, that can't be the reason you stop sharing stuff. You got to keep sharing stuff. There might be somebody who watches the video and gets something out of it, but then they don't post or like it because then they don't want to be the only person whose name's there and stand out. But again, not doing things, not helping get out information and share content because you're afraid of something. Just realize things are only going to change if you find the courage in your voice, and everyone's got to realize that too. You got to stop thinking that somebody else is going to do it for you. So, yeah, I think we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Be back tomorrow. And until next time.